My name is Ben Booth. This is Big Sky Voices, and
I'm Victor Waumett at Storyteller Films, and we're here to tell the story of the entertainment business in New Mexico.
Hey, Victor, tell us who this fantastic guest that you found
Well,
from
I'm going to let
Santa
him
Fe.
tell us, but his name is Peter Kershaw. Peter, you're a transplanted Brit.
That's right.
Whatever brought you to New Mexico?
My wife brought me to New Mexico.
Good for you.
So I followed her.
Okay. And what was the broader context for her coming? She was a native?
No, she's actually a Philadelphian, and she's in the museum world. And she
okay.
came here because of the museums.
All right.
So I followed.
So now that you're here, I know you teach screenwriting.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
So I teach a range of different things. I teach directing and world cinema. I do a whole range of subjects. Directing is my main focus because I'm a director by background.
Okay.
But I teach at a number of institutions in New Mexico.
Okay, good. How do you find the quality of the students in New Mexico? How do you find the quality of students today generally? What would you say about them?
I teach mainly at 3 different institutions, so there are different students and they come from different backgrounds. So I teach at the Santa Fe Community College, and there the focus is on the community, and those are students that are drawn then from within the Albuquerque, Santa Fe area.
Right.
I teach at the Institute of American Indian Arts.
That's in Santa Fe?
It's in Santa Fe on the south side. It's the only Native American arts college of that nature, so it's a 4-year degree program there that they're teaching, and there's 76% of the students are indigenous, but from Alaska to Mexico.
Okay.
So there's a very specific kind of student there, although as it's federally funded as well as tribal, it's open to everybody. I teach also at Santa Fe University, but that is actually closing.
Oh, that's going to close, right?
That's
Okay.
going to close.
All right.
But not only teaching, I was looking at your list here. What I count, 28 film projects? Is that about right? And a host of other things.
At least,
Yeah.
because that's on my IMDb page.
Yeah.
But and it doesn't even cover all the projects I've done.
And then awards. I
number of
believe you've
awards.
won 15, 20 awards. A lot of them in London.
I stopped counting when I got to about 30 awards for film.
You know what I really appreciate about you, Duchy or Peter, is we have a lot of people that are teaching that have never done much.
Absolutely.
And to see someone that's actually achieved and done and had some level of success, it seems like to me that's it's an extra bullet in your gun.
Yeah, and I'm still making films all the time, so I teach in addition to being a filmmaker and still in production. And I find that the better teachers at most of the places, which is different from my experience in Europe, but most of the people here teach and make films.
Yeah, yeah. Have you noticed the cultural gregarious nature of people in New Mexico? They're kind of like Australians, aren't they?
Yes, oh, yes, could be.
Because when I go to places occasionally to Germany,
Yep.
or other places, they're great, but they say, "Oh, you Americans are always so loud," or so. Yeah, you come on so hard, and I say, you haven't seen anything. Come to New Mexico or Texas, and you'll see friendly and gregarious here.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, Peter, you just worked with a filmmaker from Holland,
Yep.
right? On a was it a short film he was doing or a trailer? What was he doing, and why was he here in New Mexico doing it?
So I'm working with a director based in Amsterdam, Ruud Satijn, who I've known for a long time. We used to do screenwriting together in different parts of Europe, and this is a feature project called Windy Point. So basically he was developing, like most people, developing a number of projects. He was developing a project that was originally set in Texas, and being based in New Mexico, I said, why don't you come and look at the industry in New Mexico and consider New Mexico as a place to do the story. So he came out a couple of years back with his original story, looked here, then went back to Holland, and then started to redevelop the story. He basically thought, no, New Mexico would work fine for the story I have in mind. So he's been developing that. So it's a feature film. And he came out to shoot what's called a mood reel. So
a mood reel.
A mood reel. So it's one of the ways that we pitch a project to other people.
It's a kind of teaser.
It's a teaser, absolutely, but it's to show something about character, something about setting, a blend of the two. So what will be good about why make this film in New Mexico? Mm-hmm. So basically he's going back now to the funders in Holland. Mm-hmm. In fact, actually, tomorrow he has a big meeting. He's going back to the funders in Holland, but saying to them, this is what New Mexico looks like in terms of this story. This is what New Mexico, the characters would look like. We did an audition, we cast some actors for it. So it's basically to sell New Mexico.
Okay. And what would your continuing role be in that? Would you be a producer of that?
That's what I was doing. I was producing for him. He's a director-writer, but we both know each other as directors, so we've been kind of, mutually supported backwards and forwards. There's a network of friends that do that.
Okay.
But I will be producing. So Duchy will be involved on the production side, and probably as a New Mexico-based company.
And that's Duchy Films. That's your company.
Duchy Films. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you walk the sort of the line between the States and Great Britain and Europe as a whole.
Yeah.
How does the Southwest appeal to European audiences or to British audiences? What's the lure, if there is one?
Yeah, well, as you will know and your audience will know, there's a great deal of films that represent American industry that are shot in New Mexico or have some element of their production connected to New Mexico. I think at one point they were saying something like 25% of all the films produced in America had some connection with New Mexico.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of people will have seen it, No Country for Old Men, films like that. People have seen New Mexico, so they're aware of it. I think the mix of landscape, I think the mix of industry professionals out here, I think the mix of cultures makes it very unique, very distinct. It's a good place to film. I always say the clue to filmmaking is in the title. You're a filmmaker. You have to make.
You have to make films.
You have to make films. So that's what we need to do more of.
Okay.
And often we look at a blank piece of paper and say, okay, and they come up with, so I always start from the question of audience, because we come up with questions that stop us from starting. I can't start till I have the money. I can't start till I know the actors. I can't start till I have the crew. I can't start till, and they come up with reasons not to start. And you have to say no. You have to say, it's let's start.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Even if you're not ready, do it.
Just find a way to do it.
And then make it better.
Yeah,
Now, you said something fascinating. I heard about casting up in Santa Fe a couple of weeks ago. Ben, your wife, as an actor, would be interested in this. You said something about only parts with 6 lines or less get cast in New Mexico. Explain that.
Okay, it seems that often the parts where the characters have more to say, more than 6 lines, tend to come from outside of the state. That we tend to do smaller parts and fewer lines. There's always going to be exceptions, but on the whole, that's why we need to generate more films that are produced and created in New Mexico, so that New Mexico actors get to star and lead. Because if you're casting and you look at somebody's resume, but they've only ever done 2 or 3 lines, and they've only had small parts, then it's really hard to take the risk of saying, can they sustain a whole film?
Yes.
But if we generate the films from here, where the actors are the main characters and they get to demonstrate their performance and their ability and their talent, then there's a chance that bigger films will go, actually, that character did very well in this film, and they sustained a long time on the screen, and they talked for a long time, and we can give them a bigger role. And that's what we need to do. We need to do more of that, get them bigger roles.
Would it be helpful to you if you provided your contact information or the ways that interested people could do business with you and your facility? Go ahead and tell the audience how they would reach you. What's the best way?
Well, at the moment, one of the good ways to check me out is through the IMDb page. So, and that would be under Peter Kershaw, and the film Wilfred comes up normally as the link. So there's Peter Kershaw and Wilfred. That would lead you into it. My email, which is always a good way, which is Duchy, DUCHY films @gmail.com. And you can come directly through to me on my company at duchyfilms@gmail.com. I'm setting up a new website, and that'll be under my name, Peter M. Kershaw, and that will be up shortly, and then the people will be able to contact me that way. But IMDb, LinkedIn, or through my email are probably the best ways.
So if we had people that wanted to produce a film, but they needed someone with skills to collaborate on it, would that be the sort of person you might like to talk to?
So it depends on the project, the script, because I get a number of ideas and a number of things pitched to me, and it's a time thing. I have to look at, okay, is this project better than what I'm working on? I have to juggle all this.
It's got to be a lot better.
It's got to be.
But if they came to you with $1 million and they said, I need talent.
You tell it, I can work with them. Well, actually, I'm going to do a project which I'm aiming to film next year, which is about actors and called Performance. And I'm looking at a lot less in terms of budget, but it's about actors, and it is exactly on that point. It's to showcase talent in New Mexico, and that's going to be a feature film. But I'm looking less than that to do.
Victor, we've got about 2 minutes left. Run with it, man, you guys.
Okay, here's the big question. Peter, if you could shoot your ideal project right now,
Yeah.
What would it be?
Well, it would probably be the performance project that I'm
Performance,
working on
yes.
now, which is
Okay.
about it's about acting. It's about acting, specifically about that. So that's the project, because that's what I'm working on at the moment. I'd really like to do. I have 2 features that I just graduated with an MFA in screenwriting from IAI. One of them is a fantasy, and one's a modern day political story. And so, you know, whatever you're working on is always what you want to do.
Right, yes,
Yeah,
okay.
at the time.
All right. And final question, there are a lot of, some of the elements are in place in New Mexico for a robust film industry.
We lack
You know,
post-production.
We lack post-production.
Yeah.
We lack above the line.
Yeah, so there's 2 things I think we need to do more of, but the state's aware of it and the industry's aware of it. We need to encourage more producer, director, writers in New Mexico, either from New Mexico or have moved to New Mexico.
Okay.
To generate their stories. So we're generating more stories here, because then you're not working simply for a fee, you're actually creating an industry. You know, it's people who are staying here, who are committed to here, who will make one film and then make another film and another film, but the money is staying in the state.
They'll carry their people with them.
Exactly, the people who work with them.
Yes.
So it's not simply about you simply being paid a wage and it depends on whether the film comes and goes. It's people who are committed to making stories here. So we need to do more encouragement of independence in New Mexico to make film, and we have some, but we need to improve our post-production.
Okay.
So when we finish a film, we don't leave the state.
Because there's a lot of money that's invested and spent in post-production.
There is.
Of skilled, talented jobs.
Yeah, absolutely, and ultimately, you know, New Mexico is all about jobs. You know, we need stuff that
The world
creates
is
work.
about
Yes,
jobs.
but you know, and we say, you know, jokingly here, you know, it's well, we need the jobs. We need the jobs. So and the industry needs to be generating work, not
Yes.
just simply employing people for one project
Yes.
at a time.
Agreed.
We call this program Big Sky Voices. We have a big sky. You're a big voice in this state and becoming bigger. What a pleasure to have you
Been a
with
pleasure,
us.
Ben. Been
Okay.
really good.
Victor?
Peter, thank you
Nice,
so
Victor.
much. Nice
Enjoyed
to.
it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.